Hey guys, it's Mike here, and today I'm going to be talking about Universe 4 in this video, and giving my thoughts on their performance in the Tournament of Power, as well as really how they went out in the most recent episode Dragon Ball Super, and why I kind of feel like this is a disappointment. Now, Universe 4, when we were first introduced to them, seemed like they were really someone who was going to be one of the big deals in this tournament. Their God of Destruction Tella and Beerus were pretty much established as being rivals, and it seemed like with that in mind, there was going to be some interesting not only back and forths between the two, but also there was going to be some really interesting fighters on their team who were going to prove a real challenge for Universe 7. However, when we actually watched the Tournament of Power, that really isn't the case from what we see. As really, when we examine the Universe 4 team, for the most part, they're pretty much just fodder. I mean, after all, like, most of their members were eliminated by people who aren't even the most powerful members of Universe 7. Like, for example, Ganos, who we assumed was going to be a powerful character who might really be someone who sticks around for a while, ended up just being eliminated by Master Roshi. And the same could be said for Majora, the blind fox warrior, who is eliminated by Krillin. Really, most of the members of this team were kind of eliminated by the lower rung of Universe 7, and really thinking about it, you know, the only person I can think of who was really eliminated by a top tier guy on Universe 7 would have to be Nink, who really was one of the people who was eliminated first in the tournament after he decided to attack Goku from behind and then drag Goku to the edge of the ring, and then Goku just turned Super Saiyan Blue and knocked the dude out of the ring. So, like, you know, maybe he was powerful because he caused Goku to go into his strongest form at the time and then throw him out of the ring, but really, you know, for the most part, even though some of these guys seemed like they might have had some kind of cool abilities, you know, Ganos transformed into some weird bird man who kept getting stronger over time, Majora was blind and was able to hone his senses to where Krillin's new technique didn't work, which annoyed me, and then of course they had the invisible fighter who was that chameleon that was eliminated by Piccolo. Then of course they had the bug character Daemon, who was the one who eliminated Piccolo, which was also pretty dumb, but probably the guy who had the most interesting powers on the entire team was Shanza, who had the ability to create solid illusions within a force field that could attack people but themselves could not really be damaged. However, when he was first being hinted at during the build-up to the Tournament of Power, they made it seem like he was going to be a lot more impressive and a lot more threatening, because we had that scene where we saw that Catella knew that Frieza had come back from the dead, and so he was thinking, bringing villains back from the dead, isn't that an interesting power? So I guess that eventually ended up being that Shanza was the one who had that ability, but really, again, it didn't amount to much in the end, and none of the Universe 4 team really did much. I mean, they eliminated Piccolo, but this was kind of a weakened Piccolo at this point, and as pretty much most people will agree, the way that he went out and the way that they're finally trying to push Universe 4 as a threat at like the last 10 minutes really kind of was disappointing, and it was pretty dumb when you think about it. With that being said though, when it comes down to the episode where Universe 4 actually lost, which was the most recent episode of this recording, 119, it also was really not only disappointing, but it seemed really rushed too, because up until like a minute or two before it actually happened, I didn't even realize that they were about to go out. Like, there was so little focus being placed on just how close Universe 4 was to losing. Like, Catella seemed just really confident that he still had the ability to possibly win, and only until like the end when he finally lost did it really dawn on me, and I guess audiences, that now they're gonna lose, you know? And it's really kind of a shame when you think about it, because again, like I said, they built this guy up to be Beerus's rival, basically. They built this guy up to where he could possibly be like a big wild card and threat, and really, like, their loss and then their eventual erasure is really nowhere near as interesting, impressive, emotionally impactful, or really any of the above compared to the losses and erasure of just the last episode of Universes 6 and Universe 2. And the funny thing is, so many people just downright hated Universe 2, you know, like, people hated Ribrianne, people hated, like, a lot of the people that were fighting on the team, with the exception of, like, the Yardrat, the guy who looked like General Rildo, the guy who kind of looked like like Dr. Gero, you know, and we even heard interesting stuff about how one of them might be a Tuffle, which I don't think ever came up in any of the episodes. It doesn't even make sense how they would even have one on their team, but I digress. The fact of the matter is that they both went out in so much more impressive fashion. I mean, even the first team who lost, which was Team Universe 9, with the Trio D Dangers, even though they were the first ones to go out, they still went out in a far more impressive way, you know? Like, they had that cool triangle danger beam, and Goku and Vegeta did their final Kamehameha to eliminate them from the ring, you know? And then later on with Universe 10, like Universe 10, the way they went out, again, was a lot more interesting and impressive than the way that Catella's universe went out. So really, when you think about it, we had the whole fight between Gohan and the guy who is the strongest fighter on Universe 10's team. They had the up and down with Gowasu, where he was like, oh, we're just gonna lose, I need to accept it. And then at the last moment, they're like, oh, maybe we can win if we believe in it, and then they were still erased. And they kind of did the same thing with Universe 2 as well. So really, like, all of these universes, like, getting erased in this tournament thus far, many of them were far in between, but they had much more build-up than what we got with Universe 4, which really felt like more of like an afterthought, you know? And by the time that Catella goes to be erased, I was just like, wow, I guess he's gonna be erased now. I didn't even realize that was gonna happen. And then when he's erased, at least he was one of the few gods who was actually like, no, I'm not gonna stand for this. I am not gonna go down on my own. I'll take you all with me. But they didn't even let him charge up a blast. They didn't really even have him interacting with anyone when he was erased. He basically was like, no, I'm not gonna accept this. He's freaking out. And then Zeno just squishes and erases them from existence as well. So, you know, we come down to the final three teams, one of them being the Robot Universe, which I guess everyone is probably surprised that they've been around so long. I guess it's because they can do their big Voltron kind of moment. But really, when you think about it, Universe 4, I almost feel like should have been in the place of the Robot team, just because, again, the way they built up Catella, the way they built up, you know, that secret fighter that we only really got to see his power in this past episode, and then basically they just get erased and it's over. So far I would have to say that their team is probably the biggest disappointment in this team up so far, aside from maybe the Pride Troopers, because only like a few of them seem to have really been that impressive, and I was still very disappointed that Casserole got beaten the way he did, in that, you know, they didn't end up being super badasses, they just had to be fodder for female Broly again. But when it comes down to Universe 4, I don't know, I would say they're probably the most disappointing and the most underwhelming erasers so far, which, again, they erased an entire universe from existence, and how do you make that underwhelming? I really don't know, but I guess Dragon Ball Super found a way to do it. We'll have to see how the manga does it, but I'm not holding my breath for the manga actually drawing some of this stuff out, making it seem more impressive. They had Catella be the one in the manga, I guess, who beat Beerus in the arm wrestling match, but again, when it comes to the anime, it really doesn't make a difference because now they're gone, and it was pretty disappointing. So let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments section about what you think of Universe 4's erasure and their performance overall in the Tournament of Power. Did you think it was disappointing like I did, or did you actually like it? Let me know down below. And if you like this video, subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you can see all of my content right away when it comes out. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future. Yeah, and you better subscribe, enable those damn notifications.